Well, hey everybody, Tim Eyman here, obviously running for governor still. Just wanted to check in, and we are going to do Facebook Live for a little while and have a chance to talk about Kshama Sawant, Seattle's favorite socialist, and how she's now leading the Democratic Party. I wasn't sure yesterday whether or not to call her Councilwoman Sawant, whether or not I should have called her Governor Sawant, because she's frankly leading the Democratic Party more than Jay Inslee is. She's kind of the thought leader. She's kind of the idea leader. I might even have called her Mayor Sawant because of the way that she's been running things in Seattle. The entire lawless zone was basically her coup de grace, her thing. And so we're going to have a chance to talk about it tonight. I ended up going back up to the lawless zone. As many of you know, I ended up a couple of weeks ago, I guess technically exactly 26 days ago, the entire lawless zone down in Seattle, what they call CHOP, Chaz, etc. I went down there. I went down there again yesterday after testifying against this jobs tax that Socialist Sawant was pushing, a job-killing jobs tax. So I'm going to talk about my re-trip up to the lawless zone. And CHOP as Miss, I hope I pronounced that right, Miss Siebert, CHOP is her district. So that is her area, that's her deal. And very clearly, she's in charge. And so what she ended up doing was very much leading this attack on basic common sense, frankly. So again, I was there yesterday, both at the Seattle City Council chambers, fighting against her job-killing job tax, as well as going down to the lawless zone. So there's going to be kind of our big two topics, but I want to hear from you as well, and the kind of questions you guys have. I'm going to be doing this again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, so both Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, I'll be doing Q&A. So let me know your city, let me know what part of the state you're coming from, and let me know anything that's jumping out at you as far as the campaign is concerned. So Cindy is watching, which is awesome. I got Mark saying good evening. I got Richie saying here. I got Mike saying he's on. This is fantastic. So let's go ahead and do that and bring them on camera. I will add you. That's awesome. Let's see if I can make that work. Add. Wave through. Mike is now should be on. So just trying to make sure everybody's in here. So this is fantastic. Vancouver. John is coming in from Vancouver. Mark from Vancouver. Becky from Arlington. Bonnie from Bonnie Lake. Oh, you must have been hearing that all your life. Troy from Mill Creek. Oh, very excited. Jason, so good to hear from you. Moses Lake from Kelly. Oh, this is fantastic. You got a great group from all across the state. I think this is fantastic. So I'll go ahead and dive in. Again, we're going to be talking about Kshama Sawant and her jobs tax that she pushed in Seattle successfully. She ended up passing it. And as governor, I am going to bend over backwards to make sure that this kind of stuff gets reversed. Elena from Linwood. Michael, Port Angeles. This is fantastic. And Trish from Kennewick. I'm also going to talk about my trip up to Oak Harbor for July 4th. An amazing, fantastic event up there. Felt really good about it. Shannon, one of my favorite people in the world. Eric Rohde. Yay. Rohde. Romy. Rohde. Got an entire family up there. Some incredibly nice people. I met Ron and Gail, and I met Scott and his wife Cindy, and just a really great group of people. So as more and more people come on, the basic rules of Facebook Live is share it. Share this with other people. Share it with other pages, other groups. Make sure that you're also commenting constantly throughout this entire thing. Make sure that you're letting me know kind of what you're thinking. And also want to make sure that you're getting likes and loves. Love seeing hearts. Love seeing thank yous. All that kind of stuff. I think it's really important. and really happy that so many people are weighing in. But, it's a matter of, there you go, thumbs up and love, comments, and those kinds of things. Can I repeal city taxes as governor? Cindy asked me, and I say absolutely. In fact, what we've done is, I've done this for years, is that there's been this constant attack to try and impose all these taxes in Seattle. And there's this thing called preemption, which is you can pass a statewide law that makes it where local cities and counties can't do certain things. And frankly, we should not be allowing the city of Seattle to pass so many different tax increases, because Seattle is one of the engines of our state. And if you're allowing absolute socialism to take over the engine of a state, it's going to rise up and it's going to have a tough time working. So I am totally in favor of preempting the entire idea of any kind of income tax at the state and local level. I have an initiative right now that's filed called We Don't Want an Income Tax, and it prohibits state government as well as local governments from ever imposing any kind of income tax. Now, an income tax, the term income, has never been defined in state law. That's why these local governments are always trying to pick apart the opportunities they have to impose these taxes. That's why they always say they're not income taxes. They want to get it in front of the court. And so what we can do is pass a law that just makes it illegal for them to do that. You could also pass a law that makes a jobs tax illegal. Does it make sense anywhere to make it more expensive to hire somebody? It doesn't make any sense. As governor, you're absolutely in a position to be able to rescind and repeal and get rid of these various taxes at the local level, and to make sure that you institute preemption so that you don't have that. I'll give you an example of preemption. Rent control. It's something that Seattle wants, that Seattle lefties and socialists and the anarchists that were in the lawless zone all wanted to be able to do rent control. But there's a state law that prohibits local governments from doing that. So that is the same kind of thing we should do with an income tax or a jobs tax. And for that matter, carbon taxes as well. So let me flip through here. I just saw a couple of people in here. Tiffany from Pasco. Love you, Tiffany. You're awesome. Patty says, indeed. Chop has been relocated to Inslee's front yard. Spread the word. Troy, you got a great sense of humor. It does kind of feel that way. Now, he has, his isn't in a lawless zone. He's willing to have state patrol like all over the place. Riley and I and about 200 people learned about that when we were just outside of the governor's mansion. Rick is weighing in. Lisa from Republic. Rick, let me know what city you're from. Richard Sutherland, fantastic. Good to be listening in. And communicate with you as well. Will you try to reduce the gas tax, please, says Mark. One of the biggest priorities I would have is to make sure that we stop a pay-per-mile tax. That would be my priority, Mark. As far as lowering existing taxes, totally willing to do that. But my big focus is making sure we don't get an income tax, a carbon tax, or a pay-per-mile tax. Those absolutely guaranteed you're going to get all three of those under Jay Inslee. Look at all that love. I love you. Every time I talk about stopping tax increases and repealing taxes, this is the kind of love that I have. So this is what I've done for 22 years. It's obviously something I'm very familiar with. I know the various taxes that we have in our state. Frankly, I want to blow up the entire tax system we have in our state and make sure that we never have an income tax, never have a pay-per-mile tax, no carbon tax. But I think the death tax is insane. It's completely counterproductive. It's driving all successful people out of the state. Business taxes are nuts. To base them on the gross revenue of a business makes no sense. Totally shafts the high revenue, low margin businesses like car dealerships and that kind of stuff. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So there's so many taxes that we have. They're just unfair. And I think it's a matter of we need to design a fair tax system and actually get the system fair. That's the only way people are going to accept it. And so I'm committed to doing that. As your governor, that would obviously be one of my highest priorities, is us having a tax structure that actually makes sense, that's fair, that's reasonable, and let's make sure that we have no income tax, no carbon tax, no paper mile tax. Under any circumstances, our existing tax revenues, or tax sources are okay, but let's actually be looking at trying to reduce those, not trying to always increase them, and that's what Inslee wants to do. Kelly asks, how do you get signs to be put in front of our homes and businesses? You would go to tim4gov.com, tim4gov.com/yard-signs, yard-signs, yard-signs, yard signs, tim4gov/. So it is a very, very, very high priority for me to address the topics of tonight, which was yesterday's Seattle City Council meeting. Elena says no income tax. Good for you. Kshama Sawant, one of the big things she did in her legislation is she didn't just do a jobs tax, she also imposed an income tax. Everybody keeps saying, well, that's illegal, that's unconstitutional, we don't have to worry about it. Yes, we do. We cannot rely on the courts to save us. The courts are not our friend. We need to pass legislation to protect us from income taxes, jobs taxes, paper mile taxes. We need to do that through laws. How do we get Eyman signs? Thank you again, Kelly. Did it twice. Cindy says, good. Jason says, what? We can't tax ourselves into prosperity? Jason, same kind of humor that I have. Absolutely not. The idea that we're going to raise taxes, that is somehow going to make the recession and the lockdown somehow be more productive in producing tax revenue, doesn't make any sense at all. And so what we need to do is use existing revenues, prioritize those in the government programs that people have a priority on, which clearly the top priority is education. Make sure that that's fully funded, and then prioritize the other programs and make sure that the lowest priority program is the only thing that's impacted. But it's not about cutting spending. It's about opening up our economy and allowing the free market and commerce to occur again. Inslee has locked down our state, and as long as he's got us locked down and doing stupid mask requirements and these kinds of things, we're always going to be behind the eight ball and having difficulties. So Jason is right. We are not going to tax ourselves to prosperity. The only chance we have is by stopping all this push for tax increases. And the best way to do that is by electing me your governor, and to make sure that if I'm the nominee in August that takes on Jay Inslee, if you all rally and you all decide to vote for me, you're all rallying around somebody that's a battle-tested warrior that's been pushing and in the arena for 22 years. I've run 17 statewide campaigns. 11 of them ended up getting a majority of voters to vote for him. Now, 17 of them qualified for the ballot. Frankly, I count those 17 as victories, because every single one of those campaigns, I learned what it's going to take to run for governor in 2020. I didn't know it at the time, but I was training for this moment, and that's exactly what every one of those campaigns ended up doing. The other guys that are in this race, the other candidates, they've never run statewide. They just don't know what's going to be involved with that. They don't know the amount of pressure that's involved there, and they don't have a personal relationship with voters the way I do, because we've done so many initiatives to lower people's taxes that gives Republicans, Democrats, Independents kind of a direct line connection to Tim Eyman. So whenever people say, you have good name ID, I like that about you. I like it, that's fine, but there's a reason why people know my name. Is because I've been fighting to lower everyone's taxes for 22 years and put limits on government's power, limit on affirmative action, getting rid of red light ticketing cameras, making it tougher to raise taxes, fighting for the Second Amendment, teaming up with the Second Amendment Foundation and fighting back with lawsuits as well as initiatives. I mean, these kind of battles I've been doing for 22 years, and frankly, you get better in the political arena the longer you're in it, as long as you're not just one of the snakes in the snake pit. And I've done everything I could to hold government more accountable during that period of time. So I'm flipping through. Lyndon, Marilee from Lyndon. Cindy says, thanks for asking, or answering. That's cool. Elena says, hi, Marilee. This is cool. Interaction between the people that are in the group. So comment, share, make these things available. Sherry from Port Orchard. Will we get $30 tabs, says Ricky. I swear, as your governor, it will be absolutely $30 to license your vehicle and not a penny more. You will write a check for $30. That is my solemn oath. There is simply nothing that is illustrated the arrogance and the broken system that we have in the state of Washington, that we can vote 3 times for an initiative that simply says when you register your vehicle, it should cost $30. And yet politicians like Jay Inslee say you're confused by that. You're not confused. We can have an entire tax structure in the state of Washington where people pay $30 to license their vehicle. If they want to pay for a personalized license plate, that's different, that's optional. But $30 to license your vehicle. Will you get it? I have fought for 22 years to get you $30 tabs. As your governor, there's absolutely no way I would allow a single thing to occur until that was done. I would call special session after special session. There would not be a single moment where elected officials could do anything else except for this one thing. And that's a non-negotiable position. So Ricky, take it to the bank. I am absolutely committed to that. Excellent. Tammy puts up the hyperlink for yard signs. So if you go to the comments section, you can just click on Tammy Gray's comment there, and you'll be able to pull up access to be able to get a sign. Now, today, right now is Wednesday. While you and I are talking public policy, while you and I are talking about this huge fight that we had, actually, what day of the week is it? I'm actually lost here. So today's Tuesday, Wednesday. No, today's Wednesday. Wherever I am. I think I'm in Bellevue. No, the point I'm making is while all of us are talking public policy tonight, while all of us are together fighting the good fight, as I tell you about the fights that I had yesterday in Seattle, fighting Kshama Sawant, fighting socialism, doing all that stuff, what is our governor doing right now? Let me show you what our governor is doing. This is Governor Inslee, Jay Inslee. This is what Jay Inslee's doing. Music and conversation with Paul Simon and Jay Inslee. Can you believe it? That while you and I are forced to wear masks, while you and I have businesses that are shut down, while you and I are stuck, many times locked in our homes, being told that we have to tolerate 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine unless we wear a mask, while we're doing all this suffering and people are committing suicide and people are putting off medical treatments, while there's drug overdoses going on, we can all feel great that Jay Inslee is hanging out with movie stars and musicians. Really, really. Paul Simon and Jay Inslee absolutely makes me want to choke. The fact that that is Jay Inslee's priority. Now, he's not on hold when it comes to any of his stuff. You know, he's in there getting his big salary. He's in there just banging away. But what does he do? He decides to get together with a musician. This is absolutely appalling. As socialism is being pushed in Seattle, does Jay Inslee do anything to fight it? No. Jay Inslee actually invites it. He's fine with it. Because Kshama Sawant is now the head of the Democratic Party. She's now the head. She is the thought leader. She is now taken over. Because we might as well look at it, she is also the mayor of Seattle. Jenny Durkin isn't the mayor of Seattle. Who's running the show down there? It's Kshama Sawant. And think about how she's gotten to that point. When there were riots going on, she simply showed up late at night, took her key, opened up City Hall, let in thousands, or about 1,000 or so, rioters and anarchists into the City Hall. Did she pay a price for doing that? She did not. She was rewarded for it because nothing happened. So she was tested, found no resistance. So then what she did was she said, let's do a massive protest and we're going to go to Jenny Durkin's home. What was the fallout of that? What we ended up seeing was Jenny Durkin suddenly realized the summer music festival going down in the lawless zone wasn't so great anymore. She was very upset with Kshama Sawant that she would storm her castle because suddenly then it got real to her. It had been real for 26 days down in the lawless zone where people were being shot. People were actually dying, and Jenny Durkin did nothing. Jay Inslee did nothing. I went down there. I'm wearing this, shirt. I got the stickers. I'm down there. I'm confronting the mob. I'm telling them, no, I'm not going to leave. I'm telling them I'm willing to at least listen to you. But they were more interested in F you and F you Eyman and F you Eyman, F off Eyman. That was kind of their thing. But I was saying no to them. And I told them, you may not agree with my politics. You obviously don't. But I'm here to listen. There's nothing wrong with living in a free country where we can disagree with one another. But I was there for an hour and 10 minutes. Jay Inslee ain't going down there. Not going to happen. But Kshama Sawant went down there. Kshama Sawant went down there a lot because that gave her leverage. That gave her tremendous leverage. You don't think that vote that they took yesterday on the jobs tax, that every single city council member that was voting thought to themselves, will Kshama Sawant show up at my house if I don't vote for this thing? You don't think that was a shot across the bow of every city council member when Kshama Sawant led a huge protest in front of Jenny Durkin's home? You don't think that sent a very clear message to every single city council member on the city council? I'm telling you, Kshama Sawant has basically taken over the Democratic Party. She is an avowed socialist, a limousine Bolshevik, and nothing bad happens to her. Nothing but rewards. No downside, because the Democrats are either just folding because they have no backbone, or they just agree with her, and they're allowing her to basically run the train. So I think it's a really telling thing that they're all socialists now. You always knew they were, but now their avowed leader, we can now call her Governor Sawant. We can call her Mayor Sawant. We can call her Speaker of the House Sawant. We can actually call her Democrat Party leader, Democratic Party chair, Kshama Sawant. Because guess what? Jay Inslee has his own income tax bill. Frank Chop, former Speaker of the House that Kshama Sawant ran against, he has his own jobs tax proposal. He's got his own income tax proposal. They are pushing her agenda because she's leading the Democratic Party. So let's go ahead and flip through here. Let me get to some more folks. Hi, Elena. I really do respect that you're always down in the dredges working. Was going to come to say hi to you at the Sasha event, laughing out loud, but the music was so bad. That is Tarina. I am so honored that I was invited to be able to speak at that event. They gave me extra time because lots of the other candidates had canceled on them. And so I was able to go for about 11 minutes. And I really had a chance to be able to highlight the differences between my candidacy and the other candidates' candidacy. And I guess the biggest thing that I would emphasize is, as you said, I am absolutely in the trenches. I am there. I am fighting in the arena. I fought in the arena for 22 years. And in that arena, we scored some amazing victories. Limits on affirmative action, limits on property taxes, limits on car tab taxes, limits on red light ticketing cameras, imposing performance audits of state and local governments. All those victories that we ended up having was within a broken system where we kept electing Democrats during the entire period of time. I mean, think about that. That's what I could do as an activist. One person helping mobilize millions of people to fight back against a broken system. Imagine taking that kind of battle-tested warrior status, taking all that energy, taking all that effort, and putting it into the hands of a governor in the executive mansion that is 1,000% committed to fighting for your liberty, for your constitutional rights, for your Second Amendment rights, your right to protect yourself, your free speech rights, your Fourth Amendment rights, shutting down facial recognition tracking at SeaTac Airport. When I do an initiative, I have to stick with one thing. Elect me governor, and you are buying the entire package. You're getting all those ideas guaranteed implemented because you're dealing with somebody that's absolutely 1,000% committed to all of them. So anyway, just really want to emphasize that point. So I am in the trenches. A lot of the other candidates, they're just kind of doing the normal candidate thing. You know, go to a rally, say you're great, give a speech, promise you're going to put a chicken in every pot and be nice to everybody if you get elected. And at the end of the day, I'm doing that too, but I don't want to rely on that. I want to actually show you what I'm willing to fight for. I want to actually deliver results while I'm running. I think that is the fundamental difference between my candidacy for governor and frankly anybody else that's out there, is that I'm focused on producing results now. Because I don't believe a lot of people are going to make it to November. And I don't want to just say, elect me and I'm going to do great stuff for you. I want to deliver good stuff for you now. So another thing I'm really proud of is with the Second Amendment community, we really went to town on these local cities, Edmonds, Bellingham, these other cities that have these ordinances that they were pushing that said, we're going to make it illegal for you to own a firearm during an emergency. How many Second Amendment people are out there? I want to see some love. I want to hear some likes. If you believe in the Second Amendment, if that is one of your big issues, I need you to know and let me know right now if that's a big one. Because I can't tell you how proud I am of what we did in Bellingham and Edmonds, because this is in the midst. Thank you. That's a lot of love. I can't tell you how difficult it was fighting those fights because we're in lockdown. Inslee's saying everybody stay home. I'm trying to appeal to people to defy those orders and show up anyway. Think about that. How easy is it to do activism when it's a free state and everybody's open and you can do anything? How much tougher is it when you try and do it when your own government is saying you must stay in your house? The people who showed up are warriors. Warriors ended up showing up. But also in Bellingham, we had 700 Second Amendment warriors that were willing to just bang these guys hard on emails and phone calls, to the point where the president, Gene Knutson, is whining like a little girl, like a little boy about, you instituted 700 emails. That is just, you're just reprehensible. And I just took it as a badge of honor and I just said, I can't make anybody send you an email, but if you're attacking people's right to defend themselves in an emergency, what kind of reaction you're going to have? So anyway, Ricky is from Shoreline. Dana says, glad you're doing this. Mike Potter, states are including antibodies tests to increase cases. The entire thing that's going on around us, there are enormous financial incentives, political incentives for them to radically increase the incidence that they can report. You see it happening all around you. And with those kind of financial incentives built into the system, how can you have any faith that anything you're being told is actually correct? Because let us not forget, what did Jay Inslee do right after he did his shutdown? He suspended the Public Records Act. He said, we're not going to allow the people or the press to access all the records that they say they're relying on in order to be able to make decisions. When he says data and science, I think we should all take a drink of tequila or something every time he says data and science. But really, it's so ridiculous because we can't verify a single thing he's saying because he shut down the Public Records Act. We don't have access to independently verify anything Jay Inslee is saying. That's one of the reasons we're doing these lawsuits, is to make sure that we hold them accountable, because in a courtroom, you're required to actually tell the truth. So it's a big, big, big deal. Mike Jellison, I love you, man. Mike, it is so good to hear from you. Mike sent me actually a picture of his daughter. And when he saw me showing off my daughter, he showed off his. And she's in college. And I'm telling you, what is it about dads and daughters? I'm telling you, it's on a different level. So anyway, Mike, so good to hear from you. Feel free, people, to post pictures of your kids on here. I want to see what your kids look like. You've seen Riley, and you're going to keep seeing Riley because she is just infectious. Frankly, on Sunday, I'm going to be going to Yakima for a big rally at the Yakima Speedway. And on Sunday, I'm also going to be in Wenatchee later in the evening. And Riley will be at the rallies. Tongue twister. Riley at the rallies, Riley at the rallies, Riley at the rallies on Saturday. So anybody who wants to see me and see Riley, learn more about it on our page as we get closer. But it's on Sunday, Yakima, as well as there. And then we have some going on Saturday as well in Kitsap County, but more. Cindy from Vancouver. Snowish there. Akshar says, what are you saying? Hard to say. Amazon donated $500K to fight against Tim Eyman's 976 $30 tabs initiative. So yeah, take it easy on them. That is ironic. Don, thank you so much for highlighting that. I am fighting for taxpayers all the time. I fight for people that are working class. I fight for middle class taxpayers. I fight for people that are above middle class taxpayers. I fight for all taxpayers. I fight for taxpayers that are Democrats. I fight for taxpayers that are Republicans. I fight for taxpayers that are independents. I fight for people to lower their taxes even when they vote no on the initiative. What I love about that is that, oh my God, it's the tyranny of Tim Eyman. You're forcing us to keep more of our money than we really want to be able to have. So it is ironic that as I was down there advocating against the Amazon tax, that Amazon had given $500,000 to oppose our $30 tabs initiative. I do it all the time. When you're fighting for a principle, when you're fighting for taxpayers, I think it's very important that you have to step back and say, well, what am I going to do? Fight for taxpayers except for the ones that are giving to the opposition campaign. As your governor, I'm going to fight to lower everyone's taxes. Even the people in Seattle are going to get lower taxes than maybe they want. And that's the tyranny of Tim that you're going to have to get used to. You may end up being forced to keep more of your money. It's just the pain that I'm going to be inflicting on people, having you keep more of your money. Now, the beauty of our tax system is if you don't feel that you're paying enough in taxes, feel free to write a check to the government. They will take your money. But I believe the taxpayers of this state need somebody who's going to fight for them, keep their taxes low, to actually lower them. And I am absolutely committed to doing that. And I'm not just saying it, I'm showing it. I've showed it for 22 years. For the last 8 months running for governor, I'm fighting for it against this head tax in Seattle. 2 years ago, I was testifying saying, don't pass this thing. It's really bad. And I was wearing a t-shirt. Yesterday, I was wearing a suit, but it was the same fight. And so, Don, thank you for pointing that out. Amazon donates a ton of money to the $30 tabs campaign, but what did they also do? They spent $500,000 educating voters that I am the $30 tabs guy. And so in many ways, that $500,000, which times 10 was how much they spent, was actually an in-kind contribution, a contribution to my run for governor. $5 million is where I started this campaign in November when I first launched it. And everything that I've raised since then is on top of the $5 million that they spent last year educating everybody about Tim Eyman. And who's this Tim Eyman guy? Oh, he's that $30 tabs guy. He's that guy that's always pushing for lower taxes at the ballot box. He always seems to be in trouble. The media doesn't seem to like him. People in Seattle don't like him. The only people who seem to like him are voters. I think that's why I'm always getting attacked all the time, because I am the greatest threat that Jay Inslee has. Because they're only attacking the person that's effective. They're leaving everybody else alone. They're absolutely focused on me. Well, they dropped a big crap bomb on one of them a couple of days ago and stuff, but that kind of had something to do with some other stuff from years ago. But we're not going to get into that. So let's see here. Akshar says, you suck. That's awesome. That's fine. Akshar, didn't I see you down in the lawless zone? Was that you? That was you. F.U. Eyman. F.U. Eyman. It's all good. James in Lakewood. I have an idea to eliminate or reduce the homelessness and would love to talk to you about it. James, feel free to personal message me. I would follow the Marysville model of handling the homelessness. Frankly, the mayor there, John Nearing, was almost going to run for governor solely based on his strategy that's been effective in Marysville. And that is to send in a law enforcement teamed up with social service worker. They go to each individual homeless person and they give them 3 choices. Accept services now, move along, or get arrested. These are your 3 choices. Make it now. And it has absolutely worked in Marysville. And that is the model we should actually do. Jay Inslee doesn't have a strategy for homelessness. He just doesn't. For 8 years, he just allowed it to get worse. And basically, he's allowed the problem to fester because he ignored it. And let me just say this emphatically. You cannot name a single public policy challenge in the state of Washington that he didn't make worse by trying to fix it, or didn't make it worse by ignoring it. I defy you, I challenge you to find one thing that Jay Inslee did that he tackled that he didn't make worse, or some problem out there like homelessness that by ignoring it made it even worse. He said that lawless zone didn't even exist, made it worse. So James, that's my deal. But I love input. If you've got a better way to be able to handle homelessness, go with that. Akshar tells me to shut up. That whole free country thing is kind of what we're burdened by. There are people that are allowed to talk in the state of Washington. We're muzzled right now because we all have to wear a mask, and I can't quite understand people when they try and communicate. I am walking around maskless all the time. And I think that for anybody who says, well, hey, that's just not safe, not wearing a mask, what's more unsafe than me not wearing a mask is Jay Inslee 4 more years as our governor. That would cause more pain, more suffering, more death, more taxes, more of an extension of this horrible situation we have now than whether or not somebody's wearing a mask or somebody's not wearing a mask. Steve Simmons on his website. I can also get you in contact with someone in your area. Just PM me. Steve Simmons and his family is a rock star. He and his family, absolutely fantastic, helping tremendously. I love you. If everybody likes Steve, do a like and love, do comments and all that. So I am kind of a little off script. I was going to talk about us in Seattle yesterday, me and Chris. Chris took care of me the whole time. I'm so grateful that Chris was able to join me yesterday, both at Seattle City Hall as well as in the lawless zone, which is now the lawful zone. So I was actually spent some time there in the Chaz area that is now opened up. It's now opened up. They actually repainted the East Precinct. And so I actually had a chance to talk to some police officers there, Eric and Brian, and there's a video of me talking with them. And I was just trying to get to know them and get a feel for kind of where they're coming from and everything. And let's just say everybody thinks everything that's going on in Seattle is nuts, is crazy. And Not a lot of Jay Inslee fans out there. Let me just tell you. I was sitting outside of the City Hall, Seattle City Hall, and this young guy walks by, looks over his shoulder, and he kind of gives me this thumbs up and then keeps walking. It was almost like he was afraid that somebody might see that he was doing the thumbs up thing. The beauty of voting is that you can vote your conscience. You don't have to tell your wife. You don't have to tell your boss. You can vote any way you want. You can talk socialist if you want to, but in the privacy of the ballot booth, no longer a ballot booth, at the privacy of your kitchen table, you can vote for me and you don't have to tell anybody. Love hearing all this. No capital gains tax, says Ricky. Absolutely not. Capital gains income tax is just another kind of income tax. And the reason they keep pushing for it, Ricky, is because the word income is not defined anywhere in statute. And what our initiative does, the initiative that I designed called We Don't Want an Income Tax, says that you can't tax them on your gross, your net, your discretionary income, capital gains income, or any other type or source of income. What you do is you define the term income tax to mean everything where you have income. Now you would think that that wouldn't be necessary, but the statutes, when they're vague, allows the courts to be able to pick them apart. And that's what the left has been trying to do for literally nearly 100 years, is trying to push income taxes. They see the voters vote no 10 different times during that time. So now they simply want to say it's not really an income tax. So absolutely not. There will never be an income tax under any circumstances as long as I'm governor. But I can absolutely guarantee you this. 4 more years of Jay Inslee, non-stop effort on carbon taxes, income taxes, pay-per-mile taxes, higher sales taxes, higher property taxes, higher gas taxes, higher death taxes. Jay Inslee, there's no limit to what he will do when it comes to taxes. Mike says, Akshar, you should leave here. Mike, free country, free country. Maybe him being exposed to a non-socialist might actually be an interesting experience for him. It might be a different experience. I want Eyman signs in front of my house and business. How do I get them, Kelly? Steve just put up the link for that. Robert weighs in. That isn't constructive. Oh, no, you do. So, no, you do. That isn't constructive. That isn't constructive. Oh, he was replying to Akshar. It's all good, guys. It's all good. I mean, honestly, one of the things that I'm extremely proud of after 22 years is that I have complete comfort being around people that disagree with me. I have no problem with it whatsoever. In fact, I find it to be a very positive thing to be surrounded by people that are against me. I mean, think about, I was in the lawless zone and I had 200 people saying, leave, leave, leave. I had no problem being the skunk at their party because I knew that the majority of voters were watching and they wanted to see how respectful I was of people who disagreed with me. I'm trying out for a part. I'm in a job interview right now. And you need to know that as a governor, you're going to have a governor that's going to be cool under pressure, that is going to have no problem confronting people that are on the other side. I'm going to treat them with respect, more respect than they're ever going to give to me. And when I saw Jay Inslee in the Tri-Cities get heckled and have him scurry away, he looked like an absolute coward that he is. It is what a bully does. He ended up looking like a fool. And I just thought the people of Tri-Cities exposed him for absolutely the coward that he was, because he went running away once he started having people disagree with him. And he had the podium, he had the mic, he had total control, and yet he